Hey, what's going on? It's Matt Plapp, and I am back with episode number 5 of I Know Matt Plapp. And if you're just tuning in, go to my website, go to YouTube, and check it out. The show is about people that I know. No, it's not because I have a giant ego, which my wife would tell you I do, but it's about knowing the people I know, like this man sitting next to me, Herb Bauer, because I know people that know a lot more than me, and they can help your business and help you make an impact to your bottom line. So Herb is the sales manager for a division of Velasquez. They do a lot of direct mail. And I know what you're thinking, Matt, you're a digital marketing guy. But you know what? All marketing works. It's a matter of doing it correctly, doing it often enough, and doing it to the right people with the right message. So I thought no better person to have than Herb to come on and talk about what he's seen in his, how many years, Herb?
Really been between buying and selling about 26, 27 years.
Okay. So let's talk about direct mail. So I guess go ahead. What do you do? What does your company do? And then that way we can kind of lay out the groundwork for your expertise and what you feel comfortable talking about.
Well, Matt, the main part of our business is we have two different publications in the greater Cincinnati area. That's our focus. We have Reach Magazine, which is a brand that's 30 years old in the greater Cincinnati area, and then we also have a magazine that's called Local Flavor, which is relatively new, 3, 4 years old with that name. And both magazines are mailed to over 500,000 households in the greater Cincinnati area, and we're able to uh, target somewhat as far as both geographically as well as household income.
Okay.
So an advertiser can buy a smaller zone, a 50,000 household zone in a particular area of town, or they can buy the whole greater Cincinnati area and really do more of a shotgun approach.
So direct mail. A lot of people think it's dead. I personally check my mailbox every day because there's checks in there. If you want to mail one, I'll give you my address. I don't think it's dead. I think everything has its place in a marketing plan.
Exactly.
Let's talk about some of the things you've seen over the years as far as how, like, restaurants, because a lot of my followers are restaurant and brewery owners. How they use your product and how they shouldn't use it. What would you say are your top couple things you see as successes that people, when they do a direct mailer with you or in one of the magazines?
Well, as far as restaurants are concerned,
Okay.
um, really the geographic area has a lot to do with it. Is it a restaurant? Is it a chain? Do they have multiple locations? Geographically, does it make sense for them to look to do the more of the full market or the total greater Cincinnati area? Or does it make more sense for them to target a specific area of town? So number of locations, where are the locations, and then as far as the offers that are in the particular ad, the photography that's in the ad. I think a lot of times that's an overlooked piece as far as the advertiser is concerned. Really important. There's food stylists, food photographers out there that make a lot of money and they're worth it. Because in fact, I had an advertiser the other day that we were talking about that, and they had great photography, and I was like, there just aren't that many, particularly smaller restaurant type organizations that have great photography, and it can make the world of difference because they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. When you're skimming through that magazine, it's got to catch your eye, and the photography is probably the number one reason that it would catch your eye.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because recently a friend of mine in Denver referred me to a oyster house down in Florida, and a lot of different, I call exotic foods, what they have on their menu. And I had went to their Facebook page and looked, and I was blown away by the pictures. I'm like, man. So I called Becky. I'm like, is this a chain? And she's like, no, it's one location. I'm like, where did they get these pictures? Oh, the owner's wife took a food photography course at a local college.
Ah,
And so I was talking to him. I said, man, whatever you paid, it's worth it because I'm looking at everything on your Facebook page and your website, and it's amazing. And I actually run across restaurant chains pretty frequently that when I ask for artwork or I ask for this or that, it's like pulling teeth. It's like, how do you not have a picture? I had a client recently. We needed a good picture of people on a patio.
right.
And all of this restaurant, there's 60 plus chains. all are known for their patios. Well, the corporate office did not have a picture of people on a patio.
Right.
And we actually used it for one of your magazines. We had to get a stock one from you guys, which cracked me up, but we got one.
Yeah.
So talk about offers, because I think a lot of people are hesitant when they put an offer out there that's going to be too good, or they're afraid that somebody's going to come in, like the one I always come across that I'm a big proponent of, a free appetizer. Because I think a lot of people put a free appetizer with the purchase of 100 entrees. Well, somebody comes in with a coupon for a free appetizer. It's a husband and wife and kids. They're having dinner.
Right.
So having that restriction on there can hinder the number you get in.
You're exactly right, man.
And everybody thinks there's this perception that everybody's going to come in with a free appetizer and get a glass of water and leave.
Right.
What do you see some of the offers or what catch people's attentions? Because a lot of people probably run into that question of, man, what should I put in here?
Right. No, you couldn't be more right. And someone's going to spend, of course, it's all relative to the geography and what the distribution is, but somebody's going to spend good money to do an ad. If you're going to do that, then do an offer that's going to at least attract and maybe be the reason that they give it a shot. If you're going to do an offer that's so restrictive, like you said, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, so you want to do something that's appetizing, pardon the pun, but you want to do something that's going to get the people off the couch and into the restaurant. But by the same token, you don't want to do something that's going to completely cut your throat as far as your food costs are concerned. I have the benefit of having been in the restaurant business before I got in this business.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was actually, my brother and he started a little pizza deal, and then I got involved, and it became somewhat of a chain, and we made all the mistakes.
How did I not know this?
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago.
I got to have you on again to talk about that.
Yeah, so I had the benefit of understanding that a little bit and probably being a little bit more empathetic with the restaurant owner and understanding what they're going through and how you have to balance the food costs with the offers, but you have to get people to be motivated to come to the restaurant.
Yeah. Well, that's like we're working on one right now. We've got a couple of Dairy Queens that we're working with, and we've got a free Blizzard promo.
Mm-hmm.
And number one,
Blizzards are awesome.
They're amazing. This location doesn't have a contact list. Corporate does, but the locations don't. So we're trying to help this franchisee build up an audience to get people in. And my comment to him, I said, there's two things we're going to do. The first month we're going to run this because he needs sales. We're going to run it to everybody. We're going to try and drive people in here. Yes, a lot of people are going to come in and get their free Blizzard and leave because it's a free Blizzard. It's a dessert.
Right.
Not everybody thinks of Dairy Queen as a dinner place. But then once we get some juice behind it, we're going to target 35 to 54-year-olds married with kids in certain zip codes around your stores that have certain incomes and entice them in free Blizzards with their meal. Right. And let them see how good the food is, because I think that's one thing you've got to try and do too is get an upsell.
Absolutely.
And I think that's I saw one recently that a restaurant had in a magazine. And it not only was they'll buy 2 entrees, get a free appetizer, but it also had days and hours it was restricted.
Right. They're so scared that they're going to get overwhelmed at the wrong time, and everyone's going to be upset because people have coupons and it's going to take away from their sales. But they just have to they just have to go for it. If they're gonna advertise, take advantage of that and get people in there and get them to try it and trust your people, trust your product, that you're going to be able to take advantage of the opportunity and make people happy
and impress them. It's something that sticks out to me from our conversations in the past, because I bought advertising from you many times, and one thing that stuck out that you've brought up that you were always surprised with was the depth of stats I had.
I was just going to say that. You're absolutely right.
And
this guy's the best as far as who I've been dealing with over the years, and of really, really digging deep and knowing not only, who came in from what, but also exactly what they spent, what offer they used, and I was always very impressed with that.
And I didn't plant that to get a back, so thank you. But the reason I bring that up is that I was always blown away. I thought that was normal, that if I'm spending $3,000 or $4,000 to be in this magazine and I'm going to get 500 people to walk through the door this month, I want to know that the people that redeemed this offer spent this much, the people that this offer. And we've tested numerous items, but I was always blown away by the number that you were surprised by that a lot of restaurants don't do that.
I loved it. I loved the fact that you did it. I thought it was awesome. I I think that more advertisers should take advantage of that. Some don't have the opportunity, depending on the type of business that it is. A lot of them that it's all they can do to get the people to answer the phone and to find out they don't want to badger their potential clients with where did you see us, where did you get that kind of thing. But as far as a restaurant is concerned, and if they're redeeming coupons, you
simple.
think, I mean, it's not that difficult.
And I tell you what's funny is that where some of that comes from, and a story that I remember from my past was we had our boat and RV dealership. We had it for 10 years, and about 3 years in, I realized there was a huge opportunity with fishermen.
Right.
Not a fisherman myself. Anybody that's been fishing with me will tell you I'm terrible, and I spend more time on snack food than I do fishing. But I'll never forget it because I came across, I didn't realize there were such things as fishing tournaments. And we would show up at 5 or 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning at Big Bone. There'd be 50 boats there, 100 people. And we get done with this tournament, and there's no prizes. And I was like, man, nobody sponsors these? I said, no. I said, okay. So I got our staff together, and we set out, and I said, I want to sponsor every fishing tournament in the entire city every year. And after 1 year, we had given out 30 grand in gift cards because we gave out a 50, a 25, and a 15 if you had a certain size tournament, or 150, 25.
Okay.
And I'll never forget because my accountant the first year said, Matt, you're crazy. You gave out 30 grand in gift cards. And I said, but I gave them out to the exact right people. They have boats, they have service, they have parts. So the next year I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because he told me I was crazy. I said, I'm not. I knew I was. I knew I was right. One of the few times in my life. But I said, next year we're going to track. So everybody that comes in with one of those gift certificates, you staple it to a piece of paper that their receipt, the cashier's knew. The customer got their receipt. If they had that, you stapled it to it, you put it in there. She tracked it. 140 grand in sales on the $30,000 we gave away.
Wow.
But 4 of them bought boats.
Nice.
So you take that, and all of a sudden you've got $250,000 in sales.
Right.
And so what I found was that, the perception is that people are going to come in and spend the least. What I saw from my standpoint, why I liked the coupons was that I knew I couldn't outspend Dick's Sporting Goods or Bass Pro Shops. Right. But I knew that if every fisherman had a Plapp's gift card in their wallet, that when they saw the Sunday circular from Dick's, they'd go, oh my gosh, they got Rapellas on sale. Oh, I got a gift card to Plapp's.
Right.
And so when you think about that from a restaurant standpoint, a lot of the businesses you deal with, they can't compete with the TGI Fridays and the Applebee's and the Taco Bell's and McDonald's. So, I mean, your publication gives them a chance to do something because I don't see a lot of national chains in the magazines like yours, right?
Yeah, I mean, we get some, particularly the pizzas.
Yeah.
But you're right. And it's like I always tell some of the advertisers over the years, it's really a great equalizer because even if they don't have the great photography, kind of like what you were talking about, we have plenty of stock photography that we can use and really make their ad look as good as a national ad. Yeah. And so they can present themselves in the right way.
Okay, so a couple key points to end on. What would you say is the biggest success you've seen from some of your clients? Something they did that might have stood out a little differently or put you on the spot because I didn't prepare you for this. Something that just stood out to you as far as doing a campaign with you that you said, man, that guy did it right and it worked well.
Well, would you say when you ask a question, is it more specifically for restaurants?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to get into specific
not
names,
the brands, but yeah.
But honestly, just some of the different ones, like something we haven't hit on, would be more like a targeted postcard. I've got a chain of pizzerias that have some locations that are in outlying type areas. Okay. That don't have that many opportunities as far as magazines are concerned because we're not servicing that area or there's no one else that is. And really being able to target specific with like inexpensive postcards that we can mail to some of these outlying areas and they do a really nice offer, kind of a buy one get one, that type thing to really get people motivated to try it. And I've seen some really unprecedented success with those type things.
So what about something you see often that just makes you cringe when you see a client's ad or you see an ad in a magazine? What's something that just makes you shake your head and go, man, I wish they would have did this?
I think the biggest pitfall is, and it's not just with restaurants, but it's with pretty much any type of advertisement, is trying to get, 10 pounds of what in a 5-pound bag. And what happens is it's just busy and people go right by it and they're not interested in. That's why if you got one or two really good shots, really good photography, it's going to grab their attention and people are going to pay attention and you're at least going to get a good look.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I've always said that about, locally in Cincinnati, there's a brand called Graders. I've always joked that they don't need to have any words in their ads. All I've got to see is a cone.
Right.
Like they have one I see every year, and it's a raspberry chip.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And when you see that cone with the ice cream, you know what it is.
Right.
And I don't need a coupon. I don't need an offer. I don't need a reminder. I just know, okay, kids, we're going to Graders tonight.
Yep.
That brings up another time. Have you seen many of your clients have success, and maybe they don't know how to judge it, but they don't do coupons in the magazine. They just do branding.
Absolutely, and it's like you said, it's difficult or almost impossible to be able to gauge it, but just getting that that image, just like as you're saying with the graders, just getting that image and maybe some education as far as this is what we have going on. Maybe it's more of they have specials every night, but it's not an actual coupon, but it's educating the public about Monday night is this and Tuesday night we have lasagna or whatever. And that can be just as successful, although difficult to quantify.
And the one thing I love you brought up too is the trying to put too much in an ad. I had a client recently that's not in the restaurant business that put an ad together and said, "What do you think of this?" And I looked at it and I'm like, is this like your thesis from college? Because the temptation is, I'm spending money on this. I want to get it out there.
Exactly.
Well, what you've got to also think about when you're creating an ad is if you created an ad to talk to everybody, you have to include everything. Right. And you're not going to get attention of anybody. Whereas if you create an ad to talk to this person, you can be targeted. I never forget when I was in radio, Bob Evans was a client that I called on out of Chicago, their agency. They're Cincinnati, down the street from us on the east side of Cincinnati. And I'll never forget because the lady, Sue, the media buyer, when she sent me the buy and she had all the specs, she's like, yeah, our demo is 25 to 65 females for this buy. And I remember thinking at a young age, okay, I'm 25. My wife's 25. My wife and my mom have zero in common. They go to dinner at different times, except for me. Good point. But demographically, they eat at different times. My wife eats with me and the kids. My mom eats with my dad.
Right.
They spend different money. And so I think that's something you've got to think about in your ad, because that's why a lot of businesses do that. They load it up with too much stuff versus saying, okay, you know what? We're a pizza joint. We don't want the 65-year-old guy. We don't want the 21-year-old person. Our ideal customer is a 38-year-old with 2 kids and a husband, and they drive this car and they like this type of music and whatever. And they're a Bengals fan.
Right.
And so you can create an ad that has less clutter, more focus, and an offer that's going to get them in.
You nailed it.
Anything you want to end with?
Buy print.
Buy print advertising. So, that's one thing I think a lot of people lose focus of is I'm a proponent of all advertising. I once told a guy, I'll never forget him one time, I guess it was me being a smart aleck as a young advertising salesperson.
Not me.
But he made a comment they didn't do advertising. I said, hey, John, where's your toolbox? He's like, what do you mean? He actually advertises in your magazine. I said, where's your toolbox? He's a window company. I said, why? I said, let's go take your sign off your building. What do you mean? I said, you said you don't advertise. Well, be quiet, Matt. I'm like, any advertising works. It just comes down to how much money do you have? Where can you spend that money the best? And what a lot of people do is they spread just like Herb was talking about with the ad, they spread their budget too thin. That if you've got $30,000 and you want to buy radio advertising, it's going to cost you $30,000. You know what? You're not going to be able to get enough coverage. Find something like Herb's magazines that costs $2,000 to $3,000 a month, depending on what zones you're in. Find a way you can dominate a media, and then once you dominate this media, go to the next media. Go to the next media, because all advertising works. It comes down to pretty simple things. Number one, do you have a good offer? Number two, are you talking to the right medium with that offer? And number three, are you spending enough money consistently to get it out there? So I'm glad you got to tune in this episode. You now not only know Matt Plapp, but you know Herb Bauer. And Herb, who do you know?
I know Matt Plapp.
All too well. There we go. That's all we got. I'll see you next episode.